Hello students, welcome to Narayana Digital Classes. Today we will be discussing third attempt shift 1 mains chemistry paper. I am Veera Raghava, senior chemistry faculty. If we look at the first question, which of the following does not disproportionate? Disproportionation means same element undergoing oxidation and reduction. Here they have given BRO minus, BRO2 minus, BRO3 minus, BRO4 minus. It is a straightforward, simple concept oriented question. If you check BRO4 minus, oxidation state of bromine in BRO4 minus is if you check the oxidation state of this element Br, X plus 4 into minus 2 is equal to minus 1. So X will come as plus 7. And that is considered to be the highest oxidation state. When element is in highest oxidation state, it can only decrease, means it can undergo reduction, means it can act as powerful oxidizing agent. But the question here is disproportionate. Therefore, BRO4 minus cannot be disproportionating agent. So, answer here is BRO4 minus. If you look at the second question, HNO3 on reaction with P4O10. The moment P4O10 is given, you should get idea that it is a dehydrating agent. So, when you do dehydration, what is the product that you can expect here? Take P4O10 and treat it with HNO3. P4O10 is going to remove H2O from HNO3, resulting in formation of N2O5 plus HPO3. And we know that in oxides of nitrogen, NO and N2O are neutral, all others are acidic. Here the question is nature of oxide. N2O5 nature, if you check, it is considered to be acidic. Which of the following is most easily economically refined by fractional distillation? This is going to remove the impurities, and they have given zinc, nickel, copper, iron. They use the word economically. This is very, very important. And of all the elements, if you consider economically, if you check, zinc is most economically done with the help of fractional distillation. Therefore, this is a direct fact based, and several times questions came from this concept. Again, in third attempt, first shift, that is morning shift, question came. Here you have taken cyclohexene and KMnO4 with H2SO4 followed by heating. Now you try to check here what are A and B. Here understand the importance is about heating. When you heat, bond cleavage occurs. When you add, this will be adding as hydroxylation. This is a very good hydroxylating agent. What is meant by hydroxylation? Break the pi bond, add OH and OH on either side, and this comes under syn hydroxylation. Let's look at the reaction, what will happen over here. So they are asking you both diol, both dicarboxylic acid. A is dicarboxylic acid and B is diol. A is diol and B is dicarboxylic acid. Let's understand the concept over here. Take cyclohexene double bond and you are adding KMnO4 and you are heating it. When you heat it, what happens here is, this is double bond CH, this is double bond CH, cleavage occurs. Double bond CH will be converted to COOH. So the product that you are going to get here is, on the positions of the double bonded carbon, you are going to get COOH group. So this is when it is heated. The second reaction, if you consider, it is a dicarboxylic acid. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The name of this acid is adipic acid. Second reaction, if you consider, take cyclohexene and you are adding KMnO4, that is Bayer's reagent. We can say that Bayer's reagent. This comes under syn hydroxylation. Syn hydroxylation means addition of two OH groups on the same side. So break it. So the product that you are going to get after this is, now two OH will be added and both will be above the plane or below the plane. So here you are getting diol, here you are getting dicarboxylic acid, and this is A, this is B. So A is dicarboxylic acid, B is diol. Now let's go back and check the answer. So A is dicarboxylic acid and B is diol. So it is matching with third option. Number of lone pairs present in I3 minus. This is memory based paper. In some other question is given as number of lone pairs in central atom. Whatever may be, any form, let us understand both form of questions. Okay, you can get it clearly. So if you take I3 minus, it is written in this manner, linear form. And let's go for pair of electrons. So here you are going to have pair of electrons. And the central atom is this. So central atom is this, and central atom also has a lone pair of electrons. How many it is going to have? And this is the structure. Now if you consider this, so in this they ask the number of lone pairs present in I3 minus. Now in I3 minus, how many lone pairs do you have? Here you have 3, here you have 3, here you have 3. Total will be 9. If they asked number of lone pairs in central atom, 3. So depending on, because this is a memory based paper, so we got 2 forms of question from this. Either this or that, so maybe. So any form you can get your answer. So according to this question, answer will be 9. If they ask only central atom, so central atom means number of lone pairs in central atom will be 3. And what is the shape of this? Linear. That's why I have given you the structure. So, very important with respect to any form of question that can be asked from this. Which of the following will form superoxide? Superoxide. Superoxide concept, if you check, understand that potassium, rubidium, cesium, they form superoxide. If you take the superoxide formation, potassium, rubidium, cesium, if you take sodium peroxide mainly, and if you take lithium oxide, any form can be asked. In this they have asked this. So let us learn the concept thoroughly. So this is how we can make a clarification of oxide, peroxide and superoxide with respect to group 1, which are called alkali metals. So in this, what will be the answer? Answer will be potassium. Sodium peroxide, magnesium, calcium, mainly oxide form will be formed. So superoxide is only potassium in the given options. This is another beautiful question. First point you need to understand is gallium. So what is gallium and where you come across gallium? So gallium, everyone try to remember that. Gallium belongs to group 13. Simple question. Simple. You need not write electronic configuration. So group 13 means general electronic configuration of that will be NS2 NP1. General electronic configuration. Now it is given one positive charge. So you need to remove electron. Electron will be lost from outermost orbit. So from where you can expect the loss? Loss will be occurring from this. So after loss, the configuration that you are going to get here is NS2. So monovalent ion if you take, so they exist as NS2. NS2 means here, yes, S ka L value 0. What is the need to write the electronic configuration? Simple approach. Okay, boron, aluminum, gallium. So it is also you need to develop the skill of answering it with less time and proper approach. Writing configuration doesn't make any sense, not required, frankly, because they are asking you of the lost electron. That's it. Clear? The wave number of the spectral line. So they are asking you about the wave number of spectral line in the emission spectrum. They are saying emission spectrum will be equal to 8 by 9 times of the Rydberg constant. For which jump? We know the relation. What is the relation? wave number is equal to 1 by lambda equal to RH into Z square into 1 by N1 square minus 1 by N2 square. This is for hydrogen-like species, and since they mentioned hydrogen atom, you can take Z as 1, no issue. Now, they mentioned that here 8 by 9 times of Rydberg constant. 8 by 9, wave number they mentioned. So, what I can write here? 8 by 9 times of Rydberg constant is equal to 1 by N1 square minus 1 by N2 square. Now, you should just check hit and trial method. So, put those values in this, and which satisfies this 8 by 9, you check it. And clearly, we know that it is going to be satisfied with 3 to 1. So, keep over there 1 square minus 1 by 9. So, automatically what you are going to get? 8 by 9. So, applying the hit and trial method. Clear? Right. Identify the correct increasing order of first ionization energy. So, you know, write the elements in the sequence. Okay. So, first element that you are going to get here is what? Magnesium. Next, aluminum. Next, silicon. Next, phosphorus. Next, sulfur. Normally what happens from left to right, it should increase. But you know that there is a deviation with respect to here magnesium and phosphorus. Why there is a deviation? Because of stable electronic configuration. And what is that configuration? You can expect here. Magnesium is completely filled configuration, neon 3s2. Here neon 3s2 3p3. So this is completely filled. And this is half filled. And we know that when you have that, automatically it will vary. And what is that variation you are going to observe here? The variation is so of all which is considered to be highest? Phosphorus. They are asking you the increasing order, my dear students. Understand that, increasing order. So increasing order means phosphorus should be high, and which is need to be least? Aluminium. So automatically you check aluminium, least, and phosphorus, then check with the other elements. Automatically you will get it. Got it? Right. I mean, which of the following carbocation is resonance stabilized? Resonance stabilized means it should be benzylic. No. Here. No. Here. That positive charge is in conjugation. So what you can say here is, in this case, it is involved in conjugation. Here, this is involved in conjugation with the benzene ring, resonance stabilized. Therefore, what will be the answer here? It is A and D, where positive charge is involved in double bond with benzene. Here, benzylic plus directly attached with benzene. Note that hyperconjugation also exists. 4 moles of diatomic gas is heated from 0 to 50 degrees Celsius. What you are going to observe? Now check it. Here heat supplied by it, work done by it is 0. So we need to know that here Cv is equal to, okay, Q is equal to NCV delta T. And here number of moles is 4. Cv for diatomic gas is how much? 5 by 2 R. 5 by 2 R into temperature difference is 50 minus 0. Therefore, the value that you are going to get here is 2 gets cancelled here 2 times 10 into 50. So, you are going to get answer as 500 R. Therefore, answer will be 500 R. Determine the product formed when (3-bromo 2,2 dimethyl butane) reacts with ethanol at high temperature. This is one question which different forms of questions came to us. One without temperature, one with temperature. Let me explain both. So, as per this, what can be the answer? Without heating, what can be the answer? Okay, so let us discuss both categories. One point, first you need to write the structure of 3-bromo 2,2 dimethyl butane. Let me write the structure of it. Butane. Now look at the positions of 2,2 dimethyl, 3-bromo. And the solvent that you are taking here is ethanol, which comes under polar protic solvent. Polar protic solvent means you can go by SN1 or E1. Now second point, if heating is given, E1 is favored. If heating is not given, SN1 is favored. Now look at this reaction. First step, what happened? Br is lost. So what is the product that you are going to get? Now in the next step you are going to observe how many alpha hydrogens do you have in this structure? It means how many alpha hydrogens? 3 alpha hydrogens. Now it will undergo methyl shift, 1,2 methyl shift. Then the product that you are going to get here is in this. Now how many alpha hydrogen does it have? So how many alpha hydrogens? Check it. 3, 3, 1. So it is 7 alpha hydrogens. So product is stable than reactant, so rearrangement occurs. Now from this, 2 possibilities are there. One, heating, another without heating. If you heat, E1 is major. No heating, SN1 major. In some memory based questions, without heating they mentioned, in some with heating the emulsion. So let me explain both. Till here it is common. Now if it is heated, it is going to undergo loss from which carbon? 1. So there which I have given a 1. So from there it is going to be removed. So you get more stable alkene. So what will be the product obtained here? The product that you get after elimination here is so this is the product which you are going to get it. Now if it is SN1, then what will be the product obtained? So when you are doing the elimination, you are going to get removal of H from there to get more stable alkene. And when you are doing SN1, here this is the nucleophile, so it will attack with loss of H plus, so OC2H5 comes. Now here since they are mentioning high temperature, I will be going with this. If not mentioned, this will be the product. So what will be the answer of that? So this is nothing but 1, 2, 3. So 2 butene and 2, 3 dimethyl. So answer will be first option. So depending on the rearrangement, you need to check it. Got it? Right. Now, a person requires 10,000 kilojoule energy per day. If delta H of combustion of glucose is 2700 kilojoule per mole, ये तो important है. How many grams of glucose are required by the body in a day? Straightforward concept. So understand it. What they are mentioning? Glucose 2700 kilojoule for 1 mole of glucose, which is nothing but 180 grams. Now they are mentioning 10,000 kilojoule of energy. How much? So do cross multiplication. You are going to get here 10,000 into 180 divided by 2700. So strike it off the values. So you will be getting here, so 2 and here 2, 6 30s, okay, or we can say not 6 30s, so we can go with 9 20s, 9 3s. So roughly if you go with the calculation, 2000 by 3, which comes as 666.6, okay, 7 depending on the option. So it is regarding the grams. So what will be the answer for this? Answer for this will be first option. Orlon, straightforward question, is a polymer of polyacrylonitrile. Okay, so polyacrylonitrile. Acrylonitrile means CH2 double bond CH with Cn. So this on polymerization, the product that you are going to get here is PAN or Orlon. Suppose if I ask you which mechanism it favors, suppose for your understanding. If I ask which mechanism it favors, understand this is electron withdrawing group. So positive charge is stable or negative charge? Negative charge. So it goes by which mechanism? Anionic mechanism. So it goes by anionic polymerization process. So any form can be asked, that's what I am mentioning. Okay, it's not just restricting to the question. So you need to understand the surroundings of it. So it will be benefited for your next examination also. Which of the following pairs do not have same nature? Straightforward question. Okay, which can be considered under that category? Both are amphoteric, important. This is acidic. This is amphoteric. Therefore, do not have same nature as this. Both are acidic. Both are amphoteric. Here both are basic. So the answer that you are going to get from this is C option, where one is acidic and another one is amphoteric. Clear? Right. Dihedral angle. What is dihedral angle? Open a book. In open book, the angle that is present is called dihedral angle. If you open the book, dihedral angle. And dihedral angle of H2O2 in gas is 90. Dihedral angle of H2O2 in solid is 111. Now let's understand exactly what is happening. H2O2, if you consider in gas, whereas in solid, if you go for dihedral angle, what you are going to observe is the value will be in gas. It is gas means they are atoms or molecule will be far apart. So the value is 111. In solid it is 90.2. Therefore, the values if you check, it is given opposite almost. Therefore, we can consider that both the statements are false. Therefore, answer will be D option. Because in gas they have given 90, but in gas it is 111. Which of the following has positive electrode potential? Very important. Let me give you shortcut. Kappa is the shortcut that you can consider. Okay, so this is what you need to keep in your mind. All these are considered to be present below hydrogen in electrochemical series. So they will have positive value, and moreover copper is a very familiar. You know the EMF value of galvanic cell It is 1.1. Zinc 0.76. This is the standard values which you need to know of a zinc. Minus 0.76 volt. And E naught value of copper is 0.34 volt. And which has low value, generally low value, that will be taken as anode. Shortcut. Okay? That will be taken as anode. Therefore, if you go for cathode minus anode, so the value comes as 1.1. E cathode minus E anode means both should be taken in standard SRP. Means the standard SRP only you should consider. So, very important. Therefore, what will be the answer for this? It is copper. If these three complexes like CONH3 5 times, if you are considering Cl, check this. NH3 5 H2O, NH3. First, try to know the strength of the ligand. Strength of ligand is NH3 greater than H2O greater than Cl. C greater than, N greater than, O greater than X. This is what we generally consider it. Now, strength of the ligand more means automatically what you can check? Energy. Energy of 1, 3 will be greater than, 2 will be greater than 1. When energy is in this order, automatically what you are going to get? Lambda 3 less than lambda 2 less than lambda 1. So, wavelengths they are asking you, you can get your answer directly. So, 1 greater than, so they are asking you in the correct order. So, the correct order for this will be first one. Clear? Right. Green chemistry used in environmental is used in day-to-day life for, or we can say, it's a generalized, it's not one particular topic. Okay. Cleaning cloth with water, day-to-day life, using liquid H2O2 in dyeing cloths, using tetrachloroethane. Actually here, I can say little bit, it should be here tetrachloroethane, that is more preferable. Okay, so tetrachloroethane means here you can take this ethane, tetrachloroethane is generally used. As I said, memory page, something like that they have given. So tetrachloroethane is generally more used, but it is carcinogenic. It is carcinogenic. Therefore, the best one which you can consider for our is using liquid H2O2. Okay. Again, chlorine is toxic. Chlorine is toxic, so we cannot use this. Right. So, did cleaning clothes with water. Can you just wash it with water? Not possible. Find second excitation energy of lithium 2+ ion. First one, second one. It means here this comes under 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it is a 1 and 3. So what is the formula that is used to calculate it? Energy relation is 13.6 into Z square into 1 by N1 square minus 1 by N2 square. Therefore, 13.6 into lithium is 3, so 3 square. Second excitation means 3 to 1. So it will be 1 by 1 minus 1 by 9. So the value of this will be 13.6 into 9 into 8 by 9. So 9 and 9 will get cancelled. So automatically what the answer that you are going to get? 9 and 9 will get cancelled. So 13.6 into 8 will come as 108.8 electron volt per atom. Why? Because I have taken 13.6. So the answer for this will be 108.8. They are asking you here about incorrect. Okay, amylose is branched. It is a linear polymer, so it is not branched. Glycogen is an animal starch, perfectly correct. Starch is made up of alpha glucosinic, yes, absolutely. Cellulose has beta glycosidic units. Glycosidic is used for the linkage present between two glucose units. So there are innumerable of it. So answer is first option. Straightforward from carbohydrates. Linkages is several times you got it in your exam, and again it has been repeated in your third attempt first shift. Another beautiful question. Earlier they asked ninhydrin structure. Now they are asking you with respect to ninhydrin with alpha amino acid. Let us go with the what exactly happens in this. Okay, so in this they are asking you about ninhydrin with alpha amino acid. To detect the alpha amino acid, this is the reaction which is used. Now, what is the exact reaction involved in this? Take ninhydrin. Ninhydrin 100% exists in diol form only. OH forms. So you are going to have OH. And now this is going to react with alpha amino acid. And the product that you are going to get after this is very important concept you need to understand. The byproducts that you get over here is minus RCHO along with liberation of carbon dioxide, and the product that you are going to get here is but later automatically that will undergo loss, and this will react again with another ninhydrin, and it is going to give you the product which is And the product that you get after this is loss of here NH2. So your H2 will be lost. With the oxygen, which is going to be lost. Okay, H2O will be lost here and it will be undergoing loss with water. So the product, so this H2O will be removed in the next step itself automatically. When you have any lone pair attached, that will be lost easily. That is what we study in reaction of nucleophiles with carbonyl compounds. Nucleophilic addition, elimination. Okay, whenever attached has lone pair, so when you have lone pair here, so automatically OH will be lost. So I have written like this, so automatically it will be lost, and that NH2 which is only present is going to react here, and the product that you get after this is and so once it is getting lost, it is attached, and this is going to be attached with the another group. So that is what given. Now check, it is matching with which structure. So it is matching with first one. Check this. So double bond N. And double bond O is getting converted to enolic form, and it is going to be removed. So this is the structure, and here you are going to get blue color. What is the color? Blue color. So very, very important. So the compound that you are going to get here, we can say that it's going to have blue color. Understand? So very important. And here we are going to get the byproducts as aldehyde, and CO2 is being produced. Very important. Okay. So what is that? It is considered to be aldehyde. Byproduct is aldehyde and carbon dioxide gas. Anion of X gives brown ring test. Okay, brown ring test means nitrate group to 100% should be present. And cation gives deep blue. The moment a deep blue is given, blindly should blink in your mind that it is a copper complex. Copper complex with NH4OH, and also gives precipitate with HCl and H2S. Clearly it can be understandable that the compound can be possibly copper. So copper is going to react with NH3, and the complex that you get is CuNH3 4 times 2 plus. And if you take Cu2 plus with H2S, the product that you are going to get is Cu2S. So we know that this is considered to be a blue color, we can say deep blue color. Okay, and also you are going to get copper sulfide. So the answer for this will be copper nitrate. And here nitrate is present. So all has nitrate. So this data has no use. Why? Because all 4 options have nitrate. No use. Cation is the deciding factor. And deep blue means it should immediately blink in your mind. It's a copper complex with ammonia. That's it. How many equivalents of CH3MgBr with 2-methyl propane 2-ol? From ethyl ethanoate. Very good. Let's go with the ethyl ethanoate. Ethanoate means CH3 C double bond O, and ethyl group is present C2H5, and this is treated with Grignard reagent. Let me give you Grignard reagent with a different color so you can understand this. So what you are going to observe, this is electron shift towards oxygen, and this is going to attack this carbon, which gets partial positive charge. So this is nucleophilic addition mechanism. Now what will be the product obtained? CH3, O minus, OC2H5, and here you are going to get CH3. In the next step, what you are going to observe? So OC2H5 will be lost, and this carbon is going to get positive charge. So the product that you get is CH3, double bond O, CH3. Now again reaction occurs with Grignard reagent. CH3, Mg, Br. So electron shifts here, this is going to attack here. So the product is CH3, O minus, CH3 and CH3, and followed by protonation. So the product that you are going to get finally is CH3, H3, OH, CH3. And now let's go into the numbering of it. The numbering, if you give for this, number is 1, 2, 3. So at second position you are having OH. And let me give you color for the methyl which is being added. So this is coming from Grignard reagent, and this is coming from Grignard reagent. So these two are coming from Grignard reagent. Therefore, how many moles will be consumed? It will be 2. .5 gram mass of substance, molarity, direct relation. Molarity is equal to 4.5 divided by 90 by volume in liter. So 250 divided by 1000. So this will be 1 by 20 and this will be 1 by 4. So you are going to get 4 by 20. So which will be 0.2. So directly they are asking you molarity. So substitution of this. Now in this you need to know which is strong ligand. Cobalt is a strong complex. It is a strong complex. If you go for the strong complex, what you need to understand? Pairing occurs. And here we are mentioning spin only. Why? Let me explain that. So now Cn is a strong ligand. Let's go into the complex configuration. Cobalt in 4 minus, Cn6, 4 minus. So cobalt X plus 6 into minus 1 is equal to minus 4. So X will be plus 2. So cobalt in plus 2, what you are going to observe? Cobalt in plus 2, argon 4s0, 3d7. So 3d7 means what you are going to consider here? The representation. The representation, if you check, so there are 5. So now filling the electrons in it. If you fill the electrons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 6th electron pairing. Seventh electron pairing. So how many unpaired electrons are you expecting from this? There are 3 unpaired electrons. That's it. Now if you have 3 unpaired electrons, they are asking you the generalized representation. Now complex. If you are going for complex, COCN, that is a strong ligand. This is a strong complex. So pairing occurs. Inner orbital will be involved. So here CO2 plus means 3d7, so it is 7. So these electrons will get paired up, and what is the possibility that you are getting? CO2 plus. So you need to check, and automatically here iron cobalt. So configuration, if you check, now pairing will take place, and after that we are going to get how many unpaired electrons. So cobalt 2 plus is 3d7, so that is 7. Now pairing should occur, and once the pairing occurs, automatically what you are going to observe here is the structure that you are going to get is, so it should be either inner d orbitals are possible, not possible, not possible. Why? D2 sp3 is required. So can you get 2 inner d orbitals? Not possible. So 3 unpaired electrons. So from that we are going to calculate mu is equal to root of n into n plus 2. So you are going to get 3 into 3 plus 2 root, and that comes as root of 15. So root 15 near to the root 4. So the value will be 3.9 Bohr magneton. So you need to check with the configuration clearly. If there is a chance of to get inner d orbitals too, then automatically pairing occurs. But here, even though it pair, can we expect to get more than 2 inner d orbitals? Not possible. Therefore, here this 3 will remain like that. Pairing occurs only when those inner d orbitals can be made available for the hybridization. So that is very important point. Next is equimolar mixture of benzene is taken, and benzene pure solvent 70 torr, and for methyl benzene it is 20 torr, and they are asking you mole fraction of benzene in vapor phase. Now what you need to check? So we need to know the first total pressure. How you are going to get total pressure? Total pressure is obtained by the relation P total is equal to benzene into mole fraction of benzene plus methyl benzene I am writing as MB of mole fraction of. Now what is the value of benzene? 70 into equimolar, so 1 by 2 plus 20 into 1 by 2. So the value that you are going to get is 35 plus 10, which is 45 mm. Now we know that vapor phase and liquid phase relation. So what is that? We are to calculate the mole fraction of benzene in vapor phase. When you need to calculate in vapor phase, what is the relation that you need to apply? P total, Dalton's formula, P total into mole fraction of. Let's make this in our standard form, that is YB. When I write Y, it is in vapor phase, which is nothing but equal to. Let me write with another color to give a clarity. So this is with respect to solution. Now what is required for us to calculate? YB. So how you get YB? So YB is equal to PB naught value is known 70 and equimolar. So you know that here 0.5 divided by, and total pressure is obtained as how much? 45. So once you simplify this, we will be getting our answer. So it is simply we can take 35 divided by 45. So 5 sevens and 5 nines. So how much you are going to get? 0.7, 9 7 63, 70 remember. Again you are going to get 7 and 7. So if you need to write it up to 2 decimals, the answer that you are going to get is 0.78. So this is how we need to go with the concept of vapor phase and liquid phase, which is Dalton's law and Raoult's law. Right? Fine students, with this we come to an end of discussion of third shift, third attempt, first shift chemistry mains paper. So try to go through the concepts which have been explained, so that this concept again will be useful in your coming examinations. Thank you.